My name is Robert. I'm with Set Free 24/7. We are with Mike Grundy today. I've gotten to know Mike over the last few months. He has been a blessing to us at some of the events that we do with sober events. We always have a time to eat and hang out. Then there's a time to get together and play a little bit and laugh. And then there's a time for sharing some testimonies and really getting real with it. And Mike, over the course of the last month, has really started to pour more into that last part of the whole night. And it's been a blessing to me. It's been a blessing to other people that have been there. And it's good to see someone want to share a little bit about their story, to show where I've been, what happened to me, and also the direction that I'm heading, because it's drastically different today than what it was before. So
For sure.
I'm going to let you just introduce yourself, and why not just tell us a little bit about, let's start with just a little bit about childhood and what kind of person you were in school.
Okay, hi, my name's Mike. I was born right here in Ionia, Michigan. I was a wild child. I didn't listen very well. In school, I was more worried about playing sports and talking to girls and stuff.
It's the important stuff.
Right. I could have did good in grades if I'd applied myself, but I found schoolwork boring. I was just more there to hang out. I bounced around a lot. I've lived in Portland, Ionia, Lake Odessa, Sheridan, so I went to all these schools around here. My mom had 4 kids. I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay.
And we were raised in kind of, like we bounced around a lot. There wasn't a lot of structure. There was obviously alcohol and drugs involved in my childhood, unfortunately, but my mom did the best she could. She was a single mom. My dad wasn't around, or, neither was my brother or sister's dad. None of the guys stayed around.
At what age did you take your first drink, or?
I smoked my first joint when I was 13.
Okay.
And then I probably started drinking around 15, 16, It's right around the time I did my first line of cocaine, was about 15 years old.
How did that impact going to high school? I mean, because you're high school age.
Oh, I didn't go to high school. I was in prison when I was in high school.
Okay.
As soon as I turned 17, I went to school freshman year.
Sure.
And then after that, it was a wrap. After that, I was off and running.
Yeah.
And then I went to prison. I just turned 18.
Okay.
Did 5 years. So, yep.
What led up to the prison experience? Like, what was the surrounding that, if you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, I was breaking into houses, just stealing stuff, being a young, dumb kid. And, instead of doing a paper route or finding an honest way of making money, I just went around, I'd car hop, steal things out of cars and stuff like that. And one of the houses I broke into belonged to a congressman, and another one was a state police officer. So that really highly impacted my case.
Yeah.
And, the congressman, he wanted me in prison. So that's pretty much that was a wrap after that, So, yep, I did 5 years.
In Michigan?
Yep, right here in Michigan.
Okay.
Right here in Michigan, I did 5 years at level 4. I got into a lot of fights, stuff like that. Nothing I'm proud of, but, it's part of my history. It's part of my past. So, it is what it is. But I spent 5 years in level 4, which is locked down 19 to 22 hours a day.
It's a tough time.
Yeah, it was rough, but, it made a man out of me quick. The people that I was around in prison, just because you're in prison doesn't mean that you're a dirtball. You got good people in there.
Yep.
And I was taught to be a man of my word, walk, a straight line. Like, I didn't do drugs in prison. I didn't drink in prison.
Okay.
Those were no-nos, stuff like that. So,
I'm not familiar with the Michigan prison system. I did my time out in Nevada, but what were the politics like in prison while you were there?
As far as like the differences between Nevada out, there's really, blacks can intermingle with whites and Mexicans in Michigan. There's really no segregation like it is out in California or out west. You know what I mean? There's no segregation really. You know what I'm saying? But the prisoner politics or our rules apply before the prison's rules.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we still ran the show. Yeah, whites and blacks and Mexicans, there was no really there's no segregation in the chow hall or certain parts of the yard or this basketball court or, you know, none of that goes on in Michigan.
So you did prison time, 5 years, got sentenced at 18, so you get out around 23.
Yep.
Like, where was your mind when you got out?
Oh, I was off and running the day I got out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I was drunk and high the day I got out.
Okay.
You know, the day I got out, I was partying real hard, you know.
Was that what you planned on, or was that just an old comfortable habit?
Yeah,
And
it was a little bit of both.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, my family, they're a long line of alcoholics and stuff like that. And so when I got out, you know, everybody wanted to celebrate, you know what I mean? And we celebrated.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Where did that end up leading? So now you're out, you're 23 years old. You're back partying again, day one.
Back to just doing, you know, I started
selling.
selling.
Were you on parole?
Yep, I was on parole,
Right.
you know, selling weed and cocaine. I didn't have a job, didn't want one. You know, I was ready to party and do things like that. And so I got out, and I obviously knew people in the drug trade and stuff like that. So I just started selling cocaine and marijuana and partying all the time, just getting in trouble, you know, well, not with the law, I didn't get caught, you know what I mean? But I was just doing bad things, hanging out with the wrong kind of people, doing what I wanted to do, doing whatever I wanted, you know?
How long did that last?
Oh, you know, quite a while.
Okay.
You know, I met
You're functional.
Yeah, you know, well, I mean, you know, as far as living that lifestyle as functional as you can be.
Sure.
You know, I met a girl and she got pregnant, so I was a stay-at-home dad and she went to work. You know, and during the day I wouldn't sell drugs or nothing when it was just me and my son at the house. But as soon as she came home, I'd jump in the car and I'd go make my sales to make my money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we lived that lifestyle. My mom would watch my son on the weekends, and me and my son's mom, we would go to the bars and drink and party, and I would sell cocaine at the bars and weed, and you know, it funded a fun lifestyle for, you know, a decade, you know, 10 years solid.
Yeah.
You know,
so this lasts for like 10 years. You didn't go back to prison, did you?
Well, no, I didn't. Around 31 is the first time I tried meth. It was funny because I'd always hated meth. I'm like, you know, no, I'm not. And I got drunk with a buddy one night. There was no cocaine. We couldn't find any, and we didn't want to drive all the way to Grand Rapids from Sunfield for it. So, you know, he's like, you know, I got an uncle. We can go do a couple lines of meth, man. And I was really drunk, and I'm like, you know what? You know, all right, let's do it.
Yep.
You know, and then I remember doing my first line of meth, and it was just like, oh, wow. And I looked over at my buddy, and I said, I'll never touch cocaine again. It just, the high from doing meth blew the high from cocaine out of the water. It was a completely more intense, longer lasting.
Yeah. You weren't chasing it as long.
Oh, yeah.
Like cocaine,
every 20 minutes, you need another line. Yeah. So, and then up to, you know, I did it from the first time I did meth. Like with cocaine, I could take it or leave it, you know. I could just do it on the weekends and sell it on the weekends and then go to work during the week, and I was fine with it. I was cool. But meth wasn't that way. Meth took a hold of me from the very first line. I was doing it every day after that. And with a year, from the day that I did meth for the first time, a year later, I was in prison.
Yeah.
For possession of meth.
Yeah.
Quit going to work, started shaking bacon, you know, making meth out of a Powerade bottle.
Yeah.
Moved out. My relationship with my son's mom went down the toilet.
How was your relationship with your son at this point?
It was there. I was still, that's the one good thing. My son's mom's never kept me from my son, so I was allowed to see him whenever I wanted, but I still didn't.
Sure.
As I went from being an everyday dad to maybe once or twice a week dad.
Yeah.
And even then, it wasn't overnights or nothing like that. I would just go spend a couple hours with him, and then it was off ready to get high and more.
Right.
I wasn't a good relationship, you know what I mean? It wasn't the way it was supposed to be anyways, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look back and you think back to the day you got out of prison, what would the man that you are today tell that kid that got out of prison at 23? The day before you get out of prison, what would the man you are today tell that man the day before he gets out?
Well, I mean, the first thing I would tell him is that no matter what, don't do meth. You know what I mean? That would be my main goal, to let that kid know. I went from 23 to 31.
Sure.
But I would have urged him, you know, or to not to not be selfish. That was a big part of my partying and selling drugs and stuff, was so that way I didn't have to go to work. I didn't have to wake up and punch an alarm clock. I could come and go as I pleased. And
I'm selling dope. I'm the man.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yep, I don't have to,
Yeah.
Yep, that exactly, pretty much, It fed my ego. You know what I mean? It really did. It, like, I'm the man or whatever,
Sure.
And in the moment, I wasn't telling myself that, but now I look back at it, it did feed my ego.
Yeah.
It really sure did. It was nice to go to parties or go to the bar.
It's like your norm.
Yeah. And
Cheers, right?
Right. Well, no, I mean, seriously, we went to the Woodland Bar and the Sunfield Bar. And them are the two bars that I went to. They were always packed on a Friday and Saturday night. And most of the time it was because I was there selling cocaine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had a lot of good times. But I would tell that young guy that it wasn't worth it. You know what I'm saying? The sacrifices that I've had to make because of that lifestyle.
Yeah.
The juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Yeah. I feel you on that.
The juice ain't worth the squeeze. I've lost too much because of it.
Yeah.
Things that mean too much to me, especially now that they're gone.
Yeah.
Like the saying is, you don't know what you got till it's gone. Well, that's a very true.
Yep.
and most of the time that statement is really, it bites you in the ass.
Yeah.
As it has me. I had a really beautiful relationship with my son's mom and my son, and we were a good family unit.
Sure.
And now, I destroyed that.
Yeah.
I gave it away willingly, just gave it away for my selfishness and my addictions.
Yeah.
And, now that I don't have it, there's nothing I wouldn't do to get it back now that it's gone, but it's already too late, that you have to live with that regret. And that's another thing I would tell that 23-year-old kid, is that living with the regret is a motherfucker. Living with that regret hurts. It's a big burden to carry. Even today, I'm almost 20 months clean. At the end of this month, I'll be 20 months clean.
Yeah.
And there's certain stings that just don't, it'll eventually, it's gotten less and less and less. It doesn't sting as bad today as it did 2 years ago, but still, it's you look back and you're like,
Yeah. What did I do to myself?
Yeah. Why did I do that? What was going on in my head?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the message I would give my younger self for sure.
So now you go back to prison. I've only been to prison one time, and I knew how it felt going to prison that first time. I saw guys leave and come back, and they always got the hardest time from old timers.
Yeah.
So what was it like going back to prison?
The second time, it was like I couldn't believe I did this shit to myself. Like walking back through quarantine in Jackson, Michigan. But that's an old school prison. It was built way like 100 years ago. So it's dirty, and there's rats, and it's bugs, and the guards have been working there forever, and they're assholes. And I had an older number now, so everybody knew you're on either a probation violation or parole violation, or you're on a new case, And it was just like, wow. Like, I couldn't believe I was back, and I was missing my son, missing his mom.
Yep.
Yeah, it was, I just couldn't, I was flabbergasted. I mean, I had a loss of words. It was disappointment, mad, anger, and all at myself.
Sure.
I wasn't mad at anybody else. That's one thing. I've always had the mindset of like, you did it, you do the crime, you do the time.
Yep.
When I knew I did it to myself, I knew it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good feeling at all.
How long was the second?
24 months.
24. So 2 years.
2 years.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
2 years.
Possession charge or something related
Possession
to
of
it?
meth.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Possession of methamphetamines.
Did they offer you any treatment services
No.
while you were incarcerated?
Well, in prison, yeah, they do. They've got classes in NA and AA, and
Sure.
I half-assed that stuff. You know what I mean? I knew that I was gonna do meth again.
Yep.
Of course, I told everybody, and I'm not gonna. But I knew it down in my heart, I was gonna get out and do it again.
Okay.
I couldn't wait to get back in the party scene, back into doing my thing. And I got out and did it. I was clean for about a year. I was smoking weed the day I got out again and drinking and stuff. But I stayed clean off of meth for about a year. And then,
just for a timeline, you're about 34, 35?
yeah, right
about
around
this
that
time?
area,
Okay.
right around that
All right.
area.
Yep.
Yep. I went to, so I got out when I was like 33, almost 34.
Yep.
Then I stayed clean again for another year or so.
When you got out and you were staying clean, was it like a white knuckle kind of clean, or was it like
it was
I'm just doing life? And
yeah, well, me
didn't
and
really have the draw to get back into the.
no, I didn't, honestly. I didn't even, I wanted to stay off of meth. I knew I was going to do it again, but I wanted to see, me and Shayna were really happy. I was going to work, working construction,
Yeah.
making good money. Shayna was making money. We were back together again. She stayed with me for my prison bit, you know, miraculously. She put money on the phone. She came to see me when she could.
Yeah.
She bought me secure packs. She was a really good woman. And we got out. We were really, really happy. And, you know, life just hits, man. Some things happened. You know, I don't blame my meth use on what happened, but her sister passed away in a drunk driving accident. And Shayna and Leanna were really, really close.
Sure.
They grew up homeless together out in California. And Shayna always protected Leanna. And Shayna kind of felt like she dropped the ball with that, you know. And, you know, Leanna left 4 kids behind. It was just really, really sad.
Yeah.
And naturally, I should have been there for Shayna more, but she withdrew into herself, and she was going through loss and a lot of pain. Her dad had died, and then a couple months later, her sister died.
Okay.
And her mother was already dead from cancer years ago.
Sure.
So Shayna felt like her core family was all gone, and she was there by herself. And poor Mike. She wasn't paying attention to me, and I, being selfish again and thinking about Mike, I used that as an excuse to start using again because our relationship was rocky, and naturally she was going through a lot, and I should have recognized that, and I should have been there for her in a different way. And instead I told her after like 4 months, I told her she needed to get over it and move on. And because it was because she wasn't there for me like I wanted her to be.
Sure.
Poor Mike, again, poor me, selfishness, and
You regret that?
oh God,
Yeah.
There's nothing on the face of this earth I wouldn't do to take that period of my life back.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I'd chop my arm off, my leg, whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. There's nothing I wouldn't do to take back that period of my life. To be we shared a kid together.
Yeah.
She's been my best friend.
For sure.
She put up with things that my mom wouldn't put up with.
Yeah.
She stayed by me more than my mom did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just didn't really appreciate the woman that she was. And now I have to live with that loss every day of my life.
Yeah.
But I did it to myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I did it to myself. But yeah, that's one of the biggest regrets of my life. The biggest, the number one biggest regret of my life is the way I treated my son's mom. She was an angel. I mean, don't get me wrong. Our relationship was toxic at times, and
Sure.
She doesn't have good coping skills from growing up homeless, and her mom and dad were drug addicts and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
But she held on to us until her fingers burned. She gave everything. I can see that now.
Yeah.
She gave everything she had and she threw everything into our relationship. And I didn't appreciate it. And I never thought she would leave. I never did. Took it for granted.
Yeah.
So
you're running crazy. Life is starting to close in. Your relationship with your son is, it's not there. You're probably feeling like everything in life is going against you. What's next?
Yeah, well, like you said, the poor me's.
Yeah.
Why can't I get right? Why is life kicking my ass? Why does life hate me? And so, yeah, I'm homeless, bouncing around. And November 29th of 2022 is when I got arrested. And I was at my friend Matt's house in his driveway. His mom and dad live next door, and these people are not affiliated with my lifestyle.
Sure.
But I'm out in his driveway, and he's letting me use his garage to fix my car, and the U.S. Marshals swarm his house in ghillie suits. They come out of the woods, surround his house. His mom and dad are horrified. There's 10 cop cars in his driveway, lights flashing, sirens, the whole nine.
Yeah.
And I got arrested that day. But that was, but when the cops finally put the handcuffs on me, it was weird. It was the best feeling of relief I had. I was tired of running, tired of being homeless, I was just over the lifestyle, and that's the day that my life changed. So I went to jail, and I'm facing quite a substantial amount of time.
Yeah.
I remember having to call my son, and I said, "Hey, Ian, the cops finally caught me.
Yeah.
I'm in jail."
How old's your son at this point? Just Again, for reference.
About 12.
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
he's 14 now. He's about to turn 15 this year, so he was almost 13 maybe around this time.
Perfect.
And but me and Ian, we've always bonded over football. Up until this point, I've only missed maybe a couple games.
Sure.
And so I call him. I said, you know, Ian, listen, you know, I'm facing such a long time in prison that you'll be grown by the time I get out, and I'm never gonna get to watch you play football again. And I'm bawling, and he's crying, and it was an emotional phone call. And I get off it, and this is where, you know, this is where God really entered my life. This is the first time I've ever really felt God put His hands and mold my life. But I prayed to Him. I said, if there's anything, you know, any way. I was just praying for 3 years in prison, or 4 years at this point.
Sure.
Because I'd have got out and he'd have been a senior. I'd have been able to see senior year football.
Yep.
And this is what I'm praying for.
Yeah.
Just let me do 4 years. Just let me do the 3 to 4 years in my guidelines, and you know, and I'd have been happy.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm praying for this. If there's any way you can take, because I was facing like 10 years.
Yeah.
And
Because you're habitual.
well, the habitual, right? You know, so the habitual, they could have gave me anywhere from the 24 months. Possession of methamphetamine is a 17 to 24 month
Sure.
cap, or whatever you want to call it, guidelines.
Yep.
But that's when you're first. I'm 16 felonies in, so I'm a 4th degree habitual.
Yep.
So you know, of course, that quadruples. I'm facing like 8 years to life.
Yeah.
And I was just scared that that's what they were going to give me. This is Ionia County, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I've been in trouble before, and I honestly prayed to God. I said, I will do anything you want me to do. Take this from me. I'll do anything you. And I was dead serious. I've never meant anything more in my life. I made a promise to God I would stop doing meth for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Just to give me the 3 or 4 years. Just let me see my son play football. Let me see him graduate. Let me watch him go to prom. And I'd have been happy as a kid in the candy store.
Yeah.
And a couple days later, Walter Downs, my lawyer, come walking in.
That's crazy. Walt Downs was my attorney a long time ago.
Yep. Well, he's still doing his thing.
Yeah.
And God bless Walter Downs, because he, shout out Walter, man.
Walter, you're a good guy.
You're a good guy, Walter. And he's going to be watching this. Like, I'm going to show
hope he
Walter.
does.
Yeah, he's
I
going to.
hope
A
he
lot of
does.
people are looking forward to this.
He and I are friends on Facebook. I'd love to tag him in it.
Yep. Yes, please do.
Yeah.
But yeah, good guy, Walter. But he gets on the phone, and he's been my lawyer since I was in foster care.
Okay.
Back when I was a child.
Yep.
So he gets on the screen and he's like, Mike, what the, he didn't say that, but the look on his face, like, hey, stupid,
Yeah.
like, what's going on? Why are you here again for meth again? Like, what are you tired? And I started bawling. As soon as I seen that my lawyer was going to be Walter Downs, started bawling. I said, Walt, I'm done, dude. I said, I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm strung out. I'm an addict, and I can't do this no more. And I'll just please get me the 3 or 4 years. And he was like, well, would you be interested in doing adult recovery court in Ionia County? And I had no idea what it was.
Sure.
And I'm like, so what do you mean? Yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
And he explained to me what the program was, and I said, oh my God, Walt. He says, well, I can't make you no promises,
Yeah.
but I'm going to go to the prosecutor, and I'm really going to bat for you, because Walter's like, he's known me for 25 years at this point,
Yep.
and he's known my struggle, and he's known I've never been to rehab before. I've never, up until this point, I've never had any type of help
Sure.
from the court system at all. It's just been lock him up, lock him up, lock him up.
Yeah.
And so Ionia County, through Judge Krieger, shout out Judge Krieger.
Absolutely.
Wonderful woman.
Yes.
Read my file. The prosecutor read my file, and Walt begged for them to put me in this program. And Ionia County's Adult Recovery Court has saved my life. I would not be where I'm at. I'd be in prison right now if it wasn't for Judge Krieger and the prosecutor and Walter Downs and the wonderful program that they have. My success and that program go hand in hand.
Yes. Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
I got a wonderful recovery court team. Judge Krieger, Walter Downs, Glenn Tyson, Lexi, Nakota, my PO, Jason Spear. I got people, this whole team of people, professionals that have been trained to deal with the way I think,
Sure.
the way my mind is, and I'm doing great. But it took me being rock bottom. It took really the thought of me never watching my son play football again
Yeah.
shook me to my core. And my son, He is a 4-season athlete. He plays football, basketball, wrestling, and track. But football is his passion, and he's really good. He's really, really good football player. He plays on offense and defense. He's an integral part of the team. I wouldn't say the most important player, but he's one of the 2 or 3 most important players on the field. You know, he makes a difference on the football field.
Yeah.
And, you know, to miss these events, to miss Ian playing these things, or just miss his first truck. And I mean, you know, I want to help him buy his first vehicle. And just all of that pain transformed me.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. I was tired of self-inflicting damage. When I went to jail, you know, I didn't tell, you know, but I was suicidal. You know, I had thought about it. You know, honestly, for the first time in my life, honestly contemplated killing myself.
Yeah.
And then through the grace of God and through the grace of Ionia County's drug court program, or adult recovery court program, we don't call it drug court program, no, it's adult recovery program, because that's what it is. It's a recovery program.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing on it, is we are recovering. And
it's giving you tools now today for your toolbox that you may have not had.
Oh
when
yeah,
you
it
were
had no tools.
15 when you made decisions when you were 20
or even my 30s, I had
Right.
no coping skills. I had no. Now I got people to turn to. I mean, not just inside my family. I've got professional people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in 2 groups a week. I see a one-on-one therapist, Lexi. God bless her. She's got this really sweet voice, and she's really, you know, she appears to be soft, but she's not. You know, as she knows her when it comes to addiction and counseling, and she knows her stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I attribute a lot of my change over the last 4 months of being on adult recovery court to her.
Okay.
Lexi is a very vital piece to my puzzle.
Yeah.
Every Monday I have my one-on-ones with her, and I'm at 5:15 I'm on my Zoom waiting.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll text her, "You're late," you know. But it took all that, and this is a very abridged version of my story. You know,
There'll be a part 2, don't worry.
yeah, we'll get into it more, but basically, you know, going through all of that, being rock bottom, facing that amount of time, and hearing the pain in my son's voice when he started crying.
Yeah.
You know, because he didn't really, even at 12 or 13, you know, he didn't understand. He's like, "Dad, what do you mean?" I'm like, "Homeboy, I'm going to prison until you're going to be a grown man by the time I come home.
Yeah.
You'll probably either be in the Marines or in college by the time I get out."
All right.
And for that to not happen, to be where I'm at today, there's not a day that goes by that I don't wake up and I'm incredibly thankful for where I'm at in my life. It says in the big book, AA and NA, that the urge to use will magically just lift after a certain amount of time.
Sure.
When it comes to the urges to do meth,
Yep.
I don't have any today.
Yeah.
And not to say that that can't change.
For sure.
You know, but today, sitting here right now, yesterday, the day before that, I don't think about meth until I'm in a situation like this where I'm talking about it.
Yep.
Or, you know, when I'm in my groups and we talk about drugs and we talk about coping skills and having a relapse prevention plan.
Yep.
And them are the times that I think about it. But going through my normal day-to-day activities, I'm glad that God has lifted that from me.
So,
And it took a lot of prayer. It didn't come overnight.
sure.
You know, it didn't happen right away. Even when I first was in jail, I still had reservations. Well, maybe one day I can do dope and do it responsibly.
Right.
It's just, I'm laughing at the absurdity of that. You can't do meth responsibly.
Right.
At least I can't.
Yeah.
If you're gonna try,
It's not going to end
it's
well.
not gonna end well.
No.
You know, it's not gonna end well.
You got 2 people right here that have been down that road
Yup.
that thought that same thing,
It's
that it didn't end well.
meth is a cancer on your life, and everything it touches, it rots it away.
Yes.
I say all the time, if I wish I had 3 wishes from a genie, I could just rub a lamp.
Yeah.
I'd wish for unlimited amounts of money, unlimited amounts of happiness, and the eradication of methamphetamines off the face of this earth. Those would be my 3 wishes.
One of the most beautiful things that I saw a couple weeks ago when you were at one of our events was you were there with your son. And for your son to get up and speak about his experience and just his side of things, and also to show openly, like, I've moved past some of these things and I've forgiven my dad for these things. I'm glad he's here. I'm glad he's plugged in and doing the right thing. Then last week you're at the event, and I love what you said this last Friday. You talked about praying good for people, right? Like praying good for your enemies, praying good vibes over people in your life that you may not really like or care for.
Yep.
And then at the end of that, somebody said something about you praying for our whole group. And you did. You prayed for the whole group. Is that the first time that you've prayed for a group of people in public like that?
In public like that, yeah. I mean, I've done it a couple times in jail,
Yeah.
you know, or prison and stuff like that, but no, not in a public event like that. No, I've never prayed for anybody like that before.
It was beautiful.
Thank you.
It was beautiful. And that's, don't ever think a prayer has to sound a certain way or follow a certain set of guidelines or rules or anything. But when it comes straight from your heart, that's where, and it was beautiful just how you prayed over the whole group. So I was speaking with Glenn Tyson while you were up speaking, and I just said to him, just in the few months that I've known you, I see a lot of growth and a lot of change and just a good positive direction. And he is so happy for you.
Yep.
So
Yeah, Glenn Tyson is a very wonderful individual. He's a big influence on my life. He's known my aunt, he's known my family for a long time, 40 some years, I think.
Yeah.
I just recently met Glenn within the last year or so, and just the presence that he brings into my life is just, shout out to Glenn Tyson, man. I love you so much, brother. I do, from the bottom of my heart.
he does a lot of good.
He does a lot of good, and he can't, you know, that's the one thing. That's another thing I want to bring up about the adult recovery court program that I'm in, is that I've never felt like, you know, you POs are, they're just out to lock you. Yeah, they're
against you.
But no, I can tell that Jason cares.
Yeah.
Judge Krieger, Glenn Tyson, Lexi, Nakota, I can tell that they genuinely, from the bottom of their heart, they want to see you succeed.
Yes.
And that is what has made me buy into this program. And listen to what they have to say, because obviously my way of doing things is not, you know what I mean? I didn't have a clue, and I'm starting to learn that. I got somewhat of a clue now today.
Yep.
But a couple years ago, I didn't have a clue on how to run my own life. And these people are all successful, and they're all doing it good, and they've set up a model of how I can follow along and do it. And I'm glad that you like, to speak on the change.
Yeah.
I consciously wake up every day. I put on armor to go to war with myself. I've said that a couple times because I still have them invasive thoughts. I still have doubts if I want to be a peer recovery coach, if that's the right path. And I know that's the right path for me. I know it is, but then you get the little devil on your shoulder, the stinking thinking, the addict way of thinking. And I put in hard work every day to make sure that I continue going down the path that I'm on. It's very important to me. So I'm glad that you see the change, and you're not the only person that says that. I'm glad that I hear it, because as somebody with a substance abuse disorder, I don't usually using the word drug addict. It's such a negative thing. But I have a substance abuse disorder. My self-esteem is down naturally. So it feels good to hear that from people. And it encourages me to keep going. And I hear it all the time. My aunt that I live with, every day she tells me how good I'm doing. My son and my daughter tell me how good I'm doing. Since I've gotten clean, that's another thing about my life. My daughter, I haven't seen her since she was like 12. You know, she's back in my life. We talk on the phone all the time. She's come to see me a bunch of times since I've been home. And that's another motivation for me to keep doing good. Once you get clean, people tell you all the time that your life will get better. And back in the day, I didn't believe that. But I can see it now. Once you make that decision to get sober, God, life, karma, whatever you want to call it, it opens up doors for you. It opens up doors for you. And at first, that's one thing about getting clean, is just you expect everything to be better right away. You expect people to forgive you right away, to forget all the pain that you caused right away.
Because I'm different.
I'm different now. I'm healed now. Woo! But you got to put in the work. And I have noticed, though, that it has gotten easier. The relationship with my son's mom now is wonderful. The relationship that I have with her fiance is wonderful. Like on the 4th of July, I went to their lake house, went on their boat, and they're together holding hands, and it didn't bother me. We co-parent. We're a extended family. But it's all because of the choices that I chose to make. Getting clean, letting go of my anger, letting go of the poor Mikes, and realizing that I have a choice
Yeah.
to make, a powerful choice.
Yeah.
And it all starts within me. And that's, you know, taking responsibility for my life.
Yep.
It's been a wonderful journey, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
As we get ready to close, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned through this whole thing? I mean, you've lived a lot of life. You've gone through a lot of crap. You've gotten clean. You've been to prison. You've relapsed, all of this stuff. And now you're on this journey where you're starting to finally feel some freedom. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned, do you feel, in life?
Family over everything. My family has stuck by me through all of this. Not one person has abandoned me. Family over everything, because I've been in jail with guys that did not have any family.
Yep.
I went to rehab with people that did not have any family, no one to call.
Yeah.
And the biggest lesson I learned is that you have to put, I mean, obviously yourself first,
Sure.
but you have to put your family first.
Yeah.
I have a very big support network, and the biggest lesson I've learned is that my family is very important to me.
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest lesson that I've learned, is how important my family is to me, how short life is, and how important the people that you love are.
Yeah.
And you need to make them feel important. You need to include them in your life. So if, that's the biggest advice I can give to anybody, is to get clean and get close to the people that you love. Get close to the people and make memories. Like the Sober Not Boring events on Friday night. I enjoy being a part of a sober community of like-minded individuals that are there for each other. You know, it's a really lovely thing, and that's another thing I can't wait to see where it's going to go over the next year, how big it's going to be next summer. You know, maybe we can really pack our events.
We got some plans.
Yeah. Right on.
So, Mike, thank you for sharing part of
you.
your story.
Thank you.
If you're on the fence about getting sober today, or maybe you're not, maybe you just tuned in, you didn't even know why you were tuning in, but this is a story of a life that has been transformed and redeemed. So I just want some part of this to sit with you today and for you to remember it at some point in your life. So thank you for tuning into this. We just hope that wherever you're at on the journey, that something here meets you exactly where you're at. So Mike, thank you for everything today.
Yep.
Be blessed and
bless
be a
you.
blessing wherever you're at.